So in this video and over the next few videos, we're going to be looking at powers. So the objectives for today is to understand what a power is, how specific numbers used in powers produce specific values, use a calculator to find powers, and to look at 3 rules for calculations involving powers. So to begin with, let's establish what is meant by a power. Well, a power tells us the number of times a number or expression is multiplied by itself. So for example, if I had 4 to the power of 2, or 4 squared, this is 4 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 16. And if I had 2 to the power of 3, otherwise known as 2 cubed, we would have 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. Now this power, this number here, is called the exponent or the index. If the power is equal to 1, so for example if we had 5 to the power of 1, well that is just 5. And similarly if I had 117 to the power of 1, this will just be 117. So any number to the power of 1 is just that number. If I had 1 to the power of something, so if I had 1 to the power of 5, well that's just going to be 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, and that's going to equal 1. And if I had 1 to the power of 618, again that's going to equal 1. Now let's look at 10 to the power of something. Well, if I had 10 to the power of 2, well that's going to be 10 multiplied by 10, which is equal to 100. And 10 to the power of 3 is 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 1,000. And if I had 10 to the power of 4, that's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 10,000. Notice that the index is the same as the number of noughts on the end. So for 10 to the power of 2, we had 2 noughts. 10 to the power of 3, we had 3 noughts. 10 to the power of 4, we had 4 noughts. So if I had 10 to the power of 8, this is going to be 1 with 8 noughts on the end, which is equal to 100 million. Also, if we have any number to the power of naught, this is equal to 1. So if I had 4 to the power of naught, this is equal to 1. 7 to the power of naught is equal to 1. 912 to the power of naught is equal to 1. And I'm going to come back to this later to show you why. And finally, for negative powers, if I have 4 to the power of minus 2, this is basically 1 over 4 to the power of 2, which would equal 1 over 4 times 4, which is equal to 1 over 16. And if I had 5 to the power of minus 3, this is equal to 1 over 5 to the power of 3, which is equal to 1 over 125. Now, when dealing with powers, you might have to use a calculator. If you're fortunate to have a smartphone, then you can use the calculator on your smartphone. But calculators are not expensive to buy and are easily available in many shops. There are also calculators available online for you to download. But whether you are buying a shop-bought calculator or using the calculator on your smartphone, and I'm going to use the calculator on my smartphone, you should be looking out for these 3 buttons here: x to the power of 2, x to the power of 3, and x to the power of y. And this allows us to calculate any number to the power of 2, any number to the power of 3, and any number to the power of any number. So if you are using a calculator, the first thing you need to do is just press this button here. It might say C or it might say AC. This is to clear any calculations that might be in your calculator. Ideally, this should be saying AC, that it is all clear. But press it anyway, just to make sure. So if I was doing 4 to the power of 2 or 4 squared, I'd basically type in 4, press the x to the power of 2 button, and this gives us the answer 16. Clear the calculator again, and this time we're going to work out 7 to the power of 3, or 7 cubed. So we type in 7, press the x to the power 3 button, and we get the answer 343. Again, clear the calculator. Now we're going to use the x to the power of y button. Let's just say we wanted to find out what 9 to the power of 5 is equal to. So we type in 9, press the x to the power of y button. We now press 5, and then we press the equals button. And that gives us the answer 59,049. And of course, you can use this button for any power. So if you were, for example, working out 4 to the power of 2, you could type in 4, press the XY button, then press 2, and then press equals, and you get the answer 16. Now let's look at some calculations involving powers. We'll start with multiplication. Let's say you had 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 5. Notice that these two numbers are the same. This doesn't work if these two numbers are different. 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, and 2 to the power of 5 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So if we add up all those 2's, we end up with 8. So we are multiplying 2 by itself 8 times, which is equal to 2 to the power of 8. And if we had, for example, 9 to the power of 2 multiplied by 9 to the power of 3, notice again that these two numbers are the same. So we have 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. So we are multiplying 9 by itself 5 times. So we have 9 to the power of 5. But let's look at these questions again. 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 5. If we look at this power here, which is 3, and this power here, which is 5, if we add those two powers together, we get 8, which is what we've got here. And similarly, here we've got 9 to the power of 2 and 9 to the power of 3. Well, 2 add 3 is equal to 5. And remember, the answer here was 9 to the power of 5. So when dealing with multiplications of this type, all we have to do is add the powers together. So this would have been 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 5 is equal to 2 to the power of 3 add 5, which is equal to 2 to the power of 8. And if we had 9 to the power of 2 multiplied by 9 to the power of 3, well, this would equal 9 to the power of 2 add 3, which is equal to 5. So if I had 8 to the power of 7 multiplied by 8 to the power of 10, this would be 8 to the power of 7 add 10, which is equal to 8 to the power of 17. We can extend this rule. So if I had 2 to the power of 2 multiplied by 2 to the power of 2 multiplied by 2 to the power of 3, then that would be 2 to the power of 2 add 3, which is equal to 2 to the power of 7. And we can show this. So 2 to the power of 2 is 2 times 2, multiplied by another 2 times 2, multiplied by 2 times 2 times 2. And that, of course, is, well, there's 2 multiplied by itself 7 times, so we end up with 2 to the power of 7. So if I had 5 multiplied by 5 to the power of 3 multiplied by 5 to the power of 6, remember, think of this 5 as 5 to the power of 1. So we have 5 all to the power of 1 add 3 add 6, which is equal to 5 to the power of 10. And again, we can show this. So we've got 5 multiplied by 5 times 5 times 5, and multiplied by 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So we're multiplying 5 by itself 10 times. Now let's look at dividing. What if we had 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 2. Well, we can write it like this, 2 to the power of 3 over 2 to the power of 2. And 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. And 2 to the power of 2 is equal to 4. And 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. But let's do this calculation slightly differently, because we're going to find a rule. 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 2. So we've got 2 times 2 times 2 over 2 times 2. Now, when dealing with division like this, we can actually start cancelling numbers out. So this 2 can cancel with this 2, this 2 can cancel with this 2, and that just leaves us with 2 on top, which means the answer is equal to 2. And going back to what we covered a bit earlier, 2 can also be written as 2 to the power of 1. Let's look at another example, and then we'll look at the rule. 5 to the power of 7 divided by 5 to the power of 5. So we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 over 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. These 5's cancel out here, 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 and here. And we're left with 5 times 5 on top, which is 5 to the power of 2. Now let's look at the relationship between the question and the answer. Going back to 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 2. If I do 3 subtract 2, I end up with 1, which is what we have here. And if I look at this question, 5 to the power of 7 divided by 5 to the power of 5, well, 7 subtract 5 is equal to 2. And that's the power that we have here. So when we are dividing powers, this time we're doing a subtraction. So we're subtracting this power away from this power. So if we were doing this from scratch, 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 2, we would be doing this as 2 to the power of 3 subtract 2, which is equal to 2 to the power of 1, or 2. And if we had 5 to the power of 7 divided by 5 to the power of 5, well, this is 5 to the power of 7 subtract 5, which is equal to 5 to the power of 2. If I had 10 to the power of 8 divided by 10 to the power of 3, well, this is going to be 10 to the power of 8 subtract 3, which is equal to 10 to the power of 5. And just out of interest, if I had 10 to the power of 3 divided by 10 to the power of 8, well, that would be 10 to the power of 3 subtract 8, which was equal to 10 to the power of minus 5. And we would write that as 1 over 10 to the power of 5. Again, these numbers have to be the same. They can't be different, otherwise this rule isn't going to work. Now I want to look at a special case. What if we had 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 3? Using what we've just done before, we'd have 2 to the power of 3 subtract 3, and this will give us 2 to the power of 0. Now we came across numbers to the power of 0 a bit earlier, and they were equal to 1. Well, why is this? 2 to the power of 3 divided by 2 to the power of 3 is the same as 2 to the power of 3 over 2 to the power of 3, which we can think of as 8 over 8, which is equal to 1. I mean, if I had 5 to the power of 2 divided by 5 to the power of 2, well, that's 5 to the power of 2 over 5 to the power of 2, which is 25 over 25, which is equal to 1. And using our rules for division, 5 to the power of 2 divided by 5 to the power of 2 is equal to 5 to the power of 2 subtract 2, which is equal to 5 to the power of 0. So 5 to the power of 0 is equal to 1. And if I had 14 to the power of 7 divided by 14 to the power of 7, well, that's 14 to the power of 7 over 14 to the power of 7, which is equal to 1. And of course, 14 to the power of 7 divided by 14 to the power of 7 is 14 to the power of 7 subtract 7, which is equal to 14 to the power of 0. So 14 to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Finally, let's look at raising one power to another power. If I had 2 to the power of 3 all to the power of 2, this would mean that we have 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 3. Well, we've just been doing calculations like that, so this will equal 2 to the power of 3 add 3, which is equal to 2 to the power of 6. Let's look at another example and then we can start working out the rule. So if I had 7 to the power of 4 all to the power of 3, well, that's 7 to the power of 4 multiplied by 7 to the power of 4 multiplied by 7 to the power of 4, which is equal to 7 to the power of 4 add 4 add 4, which is equal to 7 to the power of 12. So going back to the first example, we had 2 to the power of 3 all to the power of 2, and we ended up with 2 to the power of 6. If we multiply this index with this index, so if we multiply 3 by 2, we get the answer 6. Similarly, for 7 to the power of 4 all to the power of 3, and we ended up with the answer 7 to the power of 12, if we multiply the 4 by the 3, so 7 to the power of 4 multiplied by 3, we end up with 7 to the power of 12. So if I had 9 to the power of 7 all to the power of 4, this will be 9 to the power of 7 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 9 to the power of 28. So that's an introduction to powers. In the next video, I'm going to look at square roots and cube roots. But I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.